Welcome LPSA. Welcome to our Facebook Live broadcast. It's been several weeks and it's good to have y'all here. I'm going to start off the session with our little COVID numbers that we've been doing. They've kind of changed up the COVID dashboard for the city of San Antonio, and I kind of like it. It now has a risk level for going out in public and things like that. Right now our risk level is steady. They would like me to stay home when possible. What they are watching, they are seeing a 2-week decline in cases. Their testing capacity is staying stable, as is contact tracing. Hospital trends, they consider it to be in a severe area, but because there's 703 people who were hospitalized. Of that, 317 are ICU patients, and 216 of those are on ventilators. The doubling rate for our current caseload is moderate. It's kind of going down, and the positivity rate has gone up a little bit. And then, of course, the stress on the hospital is considered critical because of the number of cases we have. The numbers as of today: 205 new cases. There are 327 deaths under investigation. It's not really actually listing the number of deaths, it just says 327 under investigation. 43,164 total cases of COVID here in San Antonio and Bexar County. 455 deaths confirmed by Metro Health. And as I mentioned, there are 720 people hospitalized. 317 of those are ICU patients, and 216 of those are patients on ventilators.
So on this, Jace, is this particular site that you're showing, is this something that would be user-friendly to the guys?
Yes.
Ladies, that they would be able to pull this up
yes.
and use it for
Matter
this
of fact, I posted the link for this site about 30-40 minutes ago on our Living Positive site. And it's actually the city of San Antonio's site. If you can't find the link, it's covid-19.gov/COVID-19/dashboards.data. And this will give them the data they need. And they actually have several dashboards you can look at. And also on this, they also have areas where you can get assistance and help as well. So if you can, click on the link that's on Facebook Live. I mean on our Living Positive page. So tonight we're going to be discussing several things. One of the things we're going to discuss is both Lynn and I have been COVID positive, and we're going to discuss how it was for us during our time of infection. I was hospitalized. Wayne spent about 33 days battling it before he finally was able to get his negative results. We also have Leo is going to be discussing some issues affecting the HIV population, dealing with ages and health conditions. And one of the other things that he wanted to talk about was hearing tests assessing the HIV impact on the brain. We also have Santiago who's going to be discussing whether or not you can donate plasma or blood as an HIV positive person. And I believe that's what all we're covering tonight.
And there may be some updates or things.
Yeah, there'll be some updates.
Community.
If you have any questions for any of us, please start sending those questions in now, and we'll try to answer them as quickly as we possibly can. And I guess we can start talking about how we dealt with COVID ourselves.
Okay. I'm ready if you're ready.
I mean, when I was first diagnosed, I'd gotten sick. I started feeling bad on a Saturday, and then Sunday I was feeling better, and then Monday I was not really feeling good. And then Tuesday I found out that a friend had tested positive for COVID, so I went and got tested, and literally I got tested on I believe I got tested on a Thursday. By the following Wednesday, my breathing had become labored. I wasn't feeling good, extremely lightheaded. So I called 911. They came and picked me up, and my my oxygen levels were down to 83, 84, 85, that vicinity. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I really didn't feel like I was having an issue breathing, but I was really lightheaded and confused. So I've been told that if anything like that happened, that I should call EMS immediately.
Yeah, not chance it.
Yes, not
That's
chance
what
it.
I've been told as well.
And I will say that by the time I got to the hospital though, and part of it could have been from the stress of realizing, God, I'm going to the hospital now, I literally was gasping for air. And my oxygen levels had dropped down to 80, and I was even more lightheaded. And so when I got there, they immediately put me under oxygen. And of course, I said, well, we are hospitalizing you and going to monitor you. We just need to wait for a bed. That was on a Tuesday night around 7 o'clock. I finally got in my bed into my hospital the next morning around 10:30, 11 o'clock.
I remember that.
So, I mean, we're looking at, what, 14 hours or so to get in, just to get into the bed. And that was before we had all the issues with needing beds with hospitalizations here. That was at the very beginning. And they gave me the drug that they were doing the trial, and I never can remember the name of it.
The steroid?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's like remdesivir or something like that. And I'm going to tell you that knocked its butt out. My breathing immediately became, from the time they gave it to me till I left, it improved my condition so, I mean, literally overnight. It worked great. Matter of fact, the doctor, when I was being discharged, told me that most people have been staying in the hospital anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. I was in the hospital 6 days. And probably because of the trial drug that I was taking.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they recently ended the trial, and I think they're going to be sending out to other hospitals and as a way for treating people who have the issue.
When I was up with the doctor today, I was talking with Dr. Bullock, and she actually has a patient that is still actively in isolation and incubated and is on day 46 right now.
Wow. You know, I've heard about things like that.
We don't know. I've heard I've talked to 6 or 7 different people that I know, and no one had the same issues that I had. And I finally found one person that had the issues that I had.
That's something we might want to talk about is what were the issues that you had, the symptoms that you were...
So what started off with me is I started seeing symptoms about the same time that you guys did. Mine was on a Friday night. I had a really bad backache in the middle of the night. I got up and took a leave thinking, I was helping a friend move a bunch of stuff. Some of it was heavy. Maybe I strained my back or something like that. And got up the next day and moved a little slow. I had drank margaritas the night before, and I was like, this is just what this is. Well, then on Saturday night, again, I started getting real bad abdominal pain. I was like, well, this is really weird. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I was fine. And then when we all started talking, maybe we should go get tested. Wednesday, the day that I went to look at the test, I was deathly ill. I did get the vomiting just a little bit, not too much, but the vomiting. My biggest thing is I had really weird symptoms. I've told the doctor, like today, if you were to take your body and slit it right down the middle on the left-hand side for me, my hand would be totally numb, like it has fallen asleep. My hand, my leg, all of my leg, and then my eye would have a little bad pressure behind it with like a crackling sensation in the head. And it would just go nonstop for 4 or 5 days. And then I'd be, okay, well, I'm not having fever or anything, so I'd get up and try to walk the dog and start cleaning and stuff, and 3 or 4 days I'm fine, and then boom, down again. The same symptoms, really tightness. And then I did actually start to have breathing issues about 3 weeks in, about 20 days in, and I started getting that piercing sensation like you did on the right-hand side. So I called right away. I spoke to Dr. Bullock right away, and she linked me to the first responders that are up the street from my house, about 6 blocks over. And so I was like, look, I need you guys to come do a breathing
Oxygen level?
Yeah, reading an oxygen level on me. Please do not put the lights on. Please do not throw the siren on. I'll be sitting at the bottom of the stairs on building that I live in. And so we did that, and I did a nebulizer and some albuterol, and then I was fine again. And then, so everybody was getting better, right? Oh, we're all getting, I got, I'm negative. And I was like, I'm still positive. This is my third positive test. And then again, it started up. I started having the headaches, the body ache on the left-hand side. And I finally had my second negative test. Let's see, what's the date today? The 12th? The 11th? 12th? On the 6th was I finally got my second negative. So, and then what we'll do is we'll talk about, we said some of the side effects since there, because just because we're negative doesn't mean we're in the clear. What were some of the issues that you were having that are now going to be long-term for as far as we know?
For me, the long-term issue will be the scarring that's left behind in my lungs. I had the pneumonia. And when you talk about symptoms, I never had a fever. I never had a headache. I never had the cough. The only real symptom I had was the achiness, the exhaustion. I mean, I could get up and literally walk from my bed to the bathroom, which is 20 feet maybe.
Yep.
And I always felt like I just ran a marathon. And that probably had to do with the breathing. Thinking back, I realized that I probably was having a hard time breathing. I just didn't recognize it at the time. Because every time when I just be, and that, again, that's just from walking across the room.
I think what happened with a lot of us that are close, I don't think we knew it was bad. I don't think we realized how bad it was until we were in the middle of it, and then things started happening to other people around us that we knew kind of in common, maybe not on a personal level, and then I started thinking, wow, how lucky are we, because, I had a friend that was 2 years older than me that just was sick on a Friday, and I found out he was dead on a Tuesday.
Yeah. I think we have been lucky, because we actually found out that we were positive literally at the beginning of this last surge. I mean, I think if we'd found out or became positive later in it, we might not have been as lucky. We might not have gotten the medical treatment that we needed as quickly.
Yeah. So when I spoke, when I volunteered to do the tracking, because knowing one of the actual doctors that's doing with mental health, I was 985 was my number of being positive. So it was before the first 1,000.
I mean, I'm not even sure where I was. I do want to give a shout out, since you mentioned doctors. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Patterson, who was running the trial at University Health, for asking me to be part of the trial with the remediators, or however you say it. And I also want to give a shout out to my doctor, Dr. Bullock, who gave me excellent follow-up care after I got out of the hospital. And I know a big shout out to all the nurses and doctors who work in the COVID division in the wings of all the hospitals, because they are literally putting their lives on the line and in danger to help treat people who have COVID-19. So these are people that are true heroes and who I have great respect for.
And that's how I feel. I don't try to necessarily push UHS. That's just who I'm with, and I'm just very lucky that Dr. Bullock and Dr. Delgado called me on a daily basis and checked in with me and said, hey, what's going on? Do your temperature. I had the temperature, the thermometer, the digital thermometer. Okay, what's this? Okay, you're not ready fever. What I still have the aches. I still have this. Okay, take Tylenol. Now, the minute, try not taking that Tylenol and see if you're not having it. And then once you're not having it, don't take Tylenol. And let's see if we can get to 5 days. Well, that took 25, 30 days or whatever. I was going to kind of tell, I don't know who out there watching is maybe have been positive as well, but some of the long-term things that we're finding out that we need to watch out for, that I myself have kind of happened. Today I found out, so I'd been really short of breath, like we talked about, you and I, and walking down the stairs and coming back up. Is it because I just turned 50? It's because I'm gaining so much weight? And so I get up there and I'm talking to Dr. Delgado today, and she's like, well, we're finding out that, and I was going to kind of script so I didn't write it down. They're finding out that there's a lot of things long term. They're finding out after people are negative, there's a lot of people that are having blood clots, strokes from blood clots, blood clots in the lungs. Heart damage is happening, lung damage is happening, and then I don't want to use the word damaged for myself. Mine right now is just a liver concern. So my liver enzymes are really, really high. I was at 169, and I think you're supposed to be at 129. I'm at 169, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a liver biopsy, because what's happening is it looks like my liver's not functioning correctly. It's still trying to detox the body or whatever. And so what it's done is it has made glucose go high on me, and my blood pressure is high, so I'm taking an extra blood pressure medication now to help bring that down, and that's what's giving me the side effects of the headaches and stuff. And then in 2 weeks, I'm going to have to go through and have what they call a nerve and pain, where they're going to take needles and go through up the arm to see what the nerves are doing. She said the needles will go in and then they send electric shock through them. So I'm like, I don't know how to make the lips for that. That's why I was saying in the car on the way over here. I was like, if I find out that hurts, I might just like, Jesus, hug me, I'm good, and
that's
go from there.
That's something I think some people don't realize, that COVID isn't just in your blood. It literally invades
in the
your
mind
brain.
and your brain.
That's right. It will invade your nerves and invade your tissue and things like that.
There's a question.
There's a question? Okay.
What was causing people to get or have blood clots?
What is causing your...
So, from my understanding, people that are, the question that we had was what was causing blood clots. So, from my understanding, what I've been told is the infection crystallizes in the bloodstream, the lung, or the heart, and then I guess the blood starts to coagulate to the crystallization itself of the infection.
Okay. I was going to ask something, my brain just went
Sorry,
away.
my phone's going off too. I thought maybe it was a question.
And that's something else. The long-term effects of COVID, like my lungs are permanently damaged. I mean,
Yeah.
It's going to be that way for the rest of my life. We're not 100% sure about my kidney, and I only have one kidney, so we're not sure what the damage is yet done to that, if there is any. Talking about just
Forgetting, mine too, same thing.
That's an issue. I know I've had friends who've had COVID who've had issues with everything from their feeling, the touch, the nerves, to their hearts, to their lungs. So I'm going to remind everybody, if you have to go out, put your mask on. When you get home, wash your hands or use a hand sanitizer or something, but make sure specifically your hands.
And especially if you're on VIA, especially get your hand sanitizer, take it with you, sanitize your hands getting on, sanitize your hands getting off. One of the things that Dr. Bullock said to you today was that I want to make people aware of also, if you were positive and you have been negative, it can't just be like, I've had it, don't have to wear my mask, don't have to. People, there are a couple of people in San Antonio that have had a second infection.
Yes, and it is possible to get a second infection. Just because you've had it doesn't mean you're safe. Again, talking with doctors, I think a lot of it depends on how severe your infection was and how many antibodies are built up in your
And some people build antibodies and some
don't. And some people do build antibodies and some don't. So whatever you do, whenever, like right now, we're at a steady pace, it's a little safer to go out, but even then, make sure you have on your mask, make sure you have your hand sanitizer. If you have gloves, wear those. Keep yourself safe. And it is to keep yourself safe as well as the people around you.
And I was going to say something also when I started having some of the issues that now, like I finally went to the doctor today and we're like, whoa, this is serious, as I'm looking at numbers. Don't tell yourself, no, it's probably nothing. If you feel something, get a hold of your infectious disease doctor and go within 3 or 4 days. This is, I kind of got a little bit of a scolding today and said, this is nothing to fool around with, because I talked to you 2 weeks ago on the phone and you said this and this and this and you kind of blew it off. but now here you are, you know, and so.
Yeah. Dude, it's very serious. Matter of fact, something that really irritates me is people that don't take this so seriously. I have members of my own family who say, "Oh, this is nothing more than the flu." Believe me, this is nothing more than the flu. They'll say, "Oh, well, there's more deaths from the flu than there is from this." That is total BS. For the last 10 years, from 2010 to now, the average death toll on flu is anywhere from 21 to 61,000 in a year. And we have had over 150, close to 160
I think
now,
we did hit 160 today.
deaths from the COVID. This is not the flu, people. This
I
is very serious.
I would gladly have the flu over this.
Yes, I would too.
I would take the flu any day.
And
over this.
by the way, that's another thing. It's important that you get your flu vaccine this year. If you're wondering whether you should, yes, get a flu vaccine.
And for those of you that are about our age, 50 going upward, you need to start thinking about your shingles shots also.
Yes.
They're very limited. Get with your provider. Start trying to hunt down. Shot 2 is what you're going to have the issue with. So get your number 1 out of the way, and then start hunting down with Walgreens and different places and find out who's going to have shot number 2 so that you could be there, because there is a shortage.
Remember, I actually had my shingle shot. I had it at the very beginning of this year. And the second one I had to have about the time I went to the hospital. So I had to go till I got to the hospital with the second shot.
Yeah. And I think some of the other ones that I don't know, different providers are different. My provider pushes everything. So I've taken flu, pneumonia, meningitis, Hep A and B.
No, but that's something.
I can't remember what else I've had. So many vaccinations. I've had
That's
as many
another
as
thing
the
that
dog.
my doctor mentioned was that I should go ahead and get another, even though I had a pneumonia vaccine a couple of years ago, I should get another one since I had pneumonia with the COVID. She thinks I should go ahead and do that. So I guess we have kind of, like I said, been lucky. We recovered. Well, I recovered pretty quickly. It did take me a little longer.
Yeah.
And we do know people who have literally been hospitalized since almost the beginning, since March, April, and that's a long time to be hospitalized. I actually read this morning about a gentleman who was released yesterday from the hospital, who had been on a ventilator, who had been diagnosed and been in the hospital literally since the last week of March. And this was actually in New York, and so that's 3 months. That's how serious this is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, the one I was talking about today was, so the actual RN that works with, works coincide with my doctor, with my infectious disease doctor. She knew the person. It's a friend's husband who was testing, had the cough and started getting the pneumonia and everything. He was testing. So you don't have COVID. Testing again, you don't have COVID. He did a third test, you don't have COVID. Finally, he had to go into the emergency room. They said, we're going to have to intubate him. He's really bad. He doesn't have COVID. Well, then they drew blood, and he had been COVID-19 the whole time. Now he's been in, with the breathing tube for 46 days as of today.
Well, you mentioned because Alyssa Milano recently had her blood drawn.
Yeah.
She had mega antibiotics from the COVID, and every time she got tested, she tested negative. So she knows that she had COVID-19. She actually had to have oxygen and things like that. And it took a blood test showing antibodies to let them know that she did have COVID-19. So evidently that little swab is not always 100% perfect. But still, it's a step in the right direction. So,
And
again,
getting it all the way back there.
yes. And it's weird, when they did that, I thought, oh, am I going to be able to handle this? Having things start so, but it didn't go
I didn't
through
have
that.
any issues. I did it myself. I went all the way back and hit the back. My eyes
Oh.
watered.
Yeah, we had people there going, oh no.
I was going to say back in the day, I've done one of the worst things. My body was happy that it was just a cotton swab.
So,
All right, I got 2 questions.
okay.
One question is from Julian, who asks, I have a question for you. Is it dangerous to receive coins?
Dangerous to receive what?
Coins.
Change.
Yeah.
Oh, coins.
So again, that comes back to washing your hands and sanitizing. You can receive coins, but it can be passed on the coins, and I would show you on my back, I have a little clip, like a keychain thing of sanitizer that I keep constantly. But a lot of the places are actually, I don't know if you've been out around town in the last few days, a lot of places are actually posting about shortage of coins, and they're asking that you use a debit card instead. So if you could be conscious of that, and maybe using your debit card account rather than cash, and you could keep from having to make the decision on that.
Because not only is it going to be carried on coinage, it's going to be carried on the bills as well. So, I mean, that does present an issue. But when you're in a cash society, sometimes it's hard to avoid something like that. Not to make light of it, because it can be dangerous.
I'm a cash society, I know what every penny is.
But I'm like that. It's like if you have a debit card, use it, because it's only you that touches it. So,
Okay.
what was the other question?
Second question is from Jay. He asks, so I don't necessarily have to already have blood clots. COVID will cause me to have a blood clot.
That's not 100% side effects. That's just one of. There's
And you may not get that side effect.
there's 13 or 14 side effects. Like I was saying earlier, I had side effects that no one else around me had, other people that I knew. And then finally, a couple of weeks down, there was someone, oh, thank God, I'm not the only one. So it's not the same. The main thing is, I just don't let it worry you till you make yourself sick. But if there's a concern, don't hesitate to get with your primary caregiver or your infectious disease doctor and wait. I would get right on it.
And one of the things that I want to mention is that just because we've had certain symptoms or certain side effects doesn't mean another person with COVID will. This disease treats each person like they are, as individuals. Like I may have problems with the breathing, someone else may not. I do not have a temperature, someone else may have a temperature through the roof. So,
and one of the things the doctors will do that I know they will do for you without hesitation, like for me instance, mine's not really a breathing issue. Mine has been more of the liver and things like that. But I'm going tomorrow, and I'm doing, I think, what did I say, 5 X-rays on the chest and things like that, and then a sonogram of the liver, and then a biopsy and all that. So just do that. Just stay on top of it.
yeah. Any more questions? Okay. Do we want?
Yes, there is one more question. Do you recommend us to wear gloves when we are out and about in the grocery store or exchanging any metal?
Yes. I would recommend yes. If you have access to gloves, yes. Do wear gloves. If you don't, like Wayne mentioned, have that hand sanitizer and use it as much as you can. I actually got some hand sanitizer with my over-the-counter benefit from Walmart the other day, and I thought it was like just a small bottle like this. Turns out it was like half a gallon of hand sanitizer, so I had to buy some.
But that was always a good one.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, if you know someone that has a Sam's Club's card, you can go in and they have that one that you're talking about. It's, I think, 60 liters. It's about this big. It's $7.98 and it's 79% alcohol. The others are only 60. And it has aloe in it too, so it doesn't bother your hands.
Yes, it does. Must be the exact same.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah. I recommend wearing gloves if you have access to them. If not, hand sanitizer. And when you get home, if you have an antiseptic soap, or even if you don't have an antiseptic soap, wash your hands for 20 seconds. And then put an application of hand sanitizer.
And your mask, you need to be washing your mask also at night. You can rub some hand sanitizer, put them out to dry, or soap and water, put them out somewhere to dry. But they're recommending that you have a couple of masks at all times and keep them clean.
In fact, I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 masks now. So it's like if I can't wear this one, I've got another one I can put on my face.
I got about 4 or 5.
Prayers? What about prayers?
To offer prayers to those who are sick.
I'm sorry, say that again.
To offer prayers to those that are sick.
Oh, yeah. Actually, we do want to offer prayers and positive thoughts for anybody that is sick. Because I'm going to be honest with you, if it hadn't been for family and friends praying for me while I was in the hospital, I'm not sure I would have made it through. And this is going to sound weird, but my son passed away over a year ago. I've had a sister who's passed away, my mom has passed away, my dad. I actually felt like they were there with me while I was in the hospital. And a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy, but I swear I heard my son whisper in my ear, "Dad, it's not your time. Get over this." And I think that's one of the things that helped give me the fight to get through it. So prayers are definitely, and positive thoughts are definitely for anybody out there that has it. And we do have friends, I'm not going to mention them by name, but there are friends out there that we have that are associated with Living Positively who've gone through the battle of this. And our prayers and our thoughts are with them. And we do think about them every day.
Well, I was going to add, if you don't mind, if you want to do something, we don't have any issue with you direct messaging on any of our Facebook pages. I don't think we would have a problem with you. If you want to tell us about something that's going on with you, we'll share it with the group of pray. You can go on the Living Positive page. My phone number's on there. You can text it to me. I do a thing called Prayer Warriors, which is a 24/7 thing through a church in Corpus Christi. Basically what you do is you put a prayer on their list, and people have actually, they take shifts to where they're praying over prayer requests 24/7. So
I would mention that actually my sister is part of a worldwide prayer group. And anytime I find that somebody needs prayers, I actually forward that on to my sister, and she has those prayer warriors.
It could be the same one I'm talking
So
about.
maybe,
Sounds like this.
so yeah, we definitely have our prayers and our thoughts. I believe we're going to do Santiago next. He's going to talk about people who can and cannot donate blood, plasma, things like that. Also, like Lee wants to talk about Pixel. Is that right?
I'm sorry, about what?
Were you going to talk about Pixel?
He's going to give you the information on it.
Yeah, he's going to give us some information on Pixel, which is a testing for COVID-19. So, Santi, we're going to turn it over to you.
Out of here. Sorry.
Sorry, people, we had a technical difficulty there with Wayne.
Hey, I just wanted to remind you who this is. Living Positive. This is open to everybody. Everybody's welcome. People living with, you and family, they're not. Welcome everybody. Gay, straight, lesbian, the whole alphabet. Everybody's welcome to watch right now until we all get back together and be a big old happy family. So with that said, a couple weeks ago, somebody brought up to my attention and asked me about people they're living with, if they could donate plasma. And my answer was pretty much no, and this is for the reason. Once a person is diagnosed with HIV, they cannot donate plasma. It is a red flag. You can go to any donation center in the city, I think there's like 3 or 4, and you're going to be flagged. It's going to pretty much tell you you cannot come in. And if you do happen to donate and they do find out that you are HIV positive, one, that's 10 years in prison, and there's a $20,000 fine automatically. So I don't think the $40 or $30 or $25 that you're going to make at plasma is actually worth 10 years in prison just because you need that money. But with that said, I have to tell y'all.
With that said, we do know that, however, that somebody with HIV can donate an organ to another HIV person.
Correct. So the individual that is positive can donate their organs, not their blood or plasma or whatever, but couldn't donate their organs to another individual. And they don't have to be infected. It could be any person.
No, they have,
It has to be
another HIV
It
person.
has to be
Okay,
another
sorry.
HIV patient.
No, I read that wrong. Okay, so this information is dated from December 20th, 2019, but it's still good. The Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, would like to remind the public that individuals who have ever tested positive for the HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, should not donate blood because of the potential risk of transmitting HIV to another. This is consistent with FDA current policy on blood donations. It is illegal to give blood if you know you have tested positive for the HIV virus, or if you know you have AIDS. You can be fined up to $20,000 and or go to jail for up to 10 years. All donated blood is taken to our laboratory and tested for several infecting diseases. I'm going to also post the website if you want to read more. Now, this goes back to the question is, if the individual is positive and wants to donate plasma to another individual that is HIV positive, the answer is no. Because one, you can't just pick and choose who your plasma goes to. And again, since it's already flagged, we're not going to be able to do it. You can take the chance. I wouldn't do it. But if you want to be helpful, just try to support the individual that does have COVID-19 and just be there by their side, be their friend and everything. I mean, as much as a lot of the individuals that are HIV positive or living with want to help out, they can only do so much. You know, I spoke to a friend a couple weeks ago, and he gave me this link, and it was called Pixel. I think Pixel Laboratory.
Pixel Lab Core.
I'm sorry, Pixel Lab Core.
Corp. C-O-R-P, Corp.
Sorry, I'm a little carried over here. So, this is actually a really good website. You get online, you submit your information, and they'll mail you a test kit. You will actually get your results in 4 days. It tells you, and you have to ship it before 4:30. You have to be at, was it FedEx, right? FedEx, it has to be there before 5, and they don't do it on weekends. So anytime between Monday and Friday, I would suggest as soon as you get the kit, do it and just go to FedEx. Where we went was at a Walgreens. You just drop it off in there. They do all the pickups before 5, and they send them off. Once it gets to the destination, you get a text telling you that they have it. Once it starts getting analyzed and tested and everything, you get another text or an email. I think we got emails. And then you would get your results. Mine only took 4 days. I think Wayne took 5, but I got my results like at, what did I tell you? Like at 3:30 in the morning, I saw the results and said negative. So I was already had my 2 negatives, so I was happy because now I don't have to worry about anything. But at the same time, just because I just said you don't have to worry about anything, you can always still get COVID-19. You still have to be careful. You still have to wash your hands. You still have to be careful with what you do. Still wear your mask. There's people that have gotten it repeatedly. 3 times, 4 times. It's not because they were dirty. It's just, they were around a bunch of people that still had it. They can still wear their mask. They still had stuff, and they still caught it. So you just have to be careful where you go and whatnot. I'm gonna get the link for the Pixel Lab Corp and post it also on our website. So if you want to do it, you do it like right now, and you'll get it. Yes.
Actually, I do have a question. I know that you said you checked online. Will they send you a letter to confirm your negative results?
Just the email.
They give it to you. And you
The reason I ask,
I'll show it to you. They give it to you and you can print it out.
and you can print it out. Okay, because I know some places if you're working and you've had COVID, you need to provide proof that you're negative in order to go back to work, which would be a letter. So that's,
Yeah, and most
or I
places
guess
were
with the-
asking for 2 negatives.
Yes.
Now they brought it down to just 1.
To 1?
And that was good enough. And I think I even heard, like, there were a couple of places that as long as you did your 14-day quarantine, then it went down to 10-day quarantine, that was good enough, and you could have gone back to work if you wanted to. I would just rather be safe than sorry, so that's actually, I did 2 negatives.
If I would have done the
3
quarantine,
negatives.
I would have still been sick.
And actually, my doctor at the VA hospital just called me today and said, I know we talked in July 3rd about testing you at the VA hospital. Do you still want to do another one? I'm like, yeah. So Friday, I'm going to do another one through the VA. So first I thought I should get all of them at one place.
You know, I actually think that's a good idea because people can become reinfected.
Right. And again, and we can't be just careless. It was like, oh, I already got my 2 negatives. I could just go do whatever. It's like, no, I'd rather still be safe than sorry. Especially when you do have family. Like I still have not seen, since all this time, I still have not seen my grandmother. That's already what, 3 months?
Yeah.
I'll stop by, wave at her at the window, drop off some food or groceries or whatever. But as physically seeing her, I haven't. I mean, yeah, I talk via phone, but it's not the same when you see somebody in person. So we still have to be careful, again, with the elderly. And now that there are children involved that have been popping positive as well. I mean, I think there was
430,000 in the U.S. 430,000.
430,000
Children.
And I'm not even talking about the infants, just here in San Antonio. I think there was one that was...
Corpus Christi Day had 100.
Corpus Christi had 100.
100.
Corpus Christi, Texas.
Well, there was also 85 infants
Yeah.
here in Texas that tested positive.
So, I mean, again, you know, we go back to we have to be careful. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, there were 3 generations. It was the father, I think the son, and an aunt. There were 3 generations in one family that had COVID and they all passed away. There was another case where it was a husband and then the wife. They were up in age, but they both passed away within hours.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad. It's sad to talk about. It's sad to hear about.
That goes back to a case that we even had here in San Antonio where this couple, I can't remember exactly where they were from, but here in the San Antonio area, they both died on the same day, just a few feet apart.
The councilman from
Yes.
Live Oak.
Yeah, from Live Oak.
City
Okay,
councilman.
city councilman.
Yeah, the city councilman.
And his mother was.
Passed away 2 days after him.
Oh, did she pass away too? See,
Husband passed within hours,
So-
and her 3 days after.
Again,
it is wiping out
just-
families.
I mean, that's great that you get 2 negatives, but I would still say be careful.
That doesn't mean you have antibodies built. I found out today. Just because you're negative doesn't mean you do have the
Yeah.
antibodies.
So, like Wayne said, just because you're negative does not mean you have antibodies built. You know, if you have a great immune system, you know, congratulations to you, but you still have to be careful.
Yeah.
You know, even at the VA, when I go to the VA, they're still careful. They still check me before I go in, ask me if I've had it before. They just ask me all these questions before I even step inside the hallway. You know, so, and you know, my therapy got canceled. Pretty much a lot of my appointments got canceled. So I haven't been able to do a lot of stuff unless it's something that they have to do, like check x-rays that have to be done to take care of. So again, it just goes back to we just have to be careful. And you know, the whole conversation started about doing plasma. You know, as much as a lot of individuals want to do plasma, you know, I'll repeat this again.
Now, I do
not donate plasma.
I do have a question about this, and you probably weren't able to find any information about it. But you know, they're talking about people who have built up antibiotics giving plasma. Would they accept that for an HIV? Do we know, or is that something we need to do more research on?
I think there's still more we got to do research because it's not that I found outdated information.
Are you talking about HIV to HIV?
I'm talking about anybody that has built up the COVID antibodies, whether they're HIV positive or not. Because they are looking for people who
Right.
have the antibiotics.
So if
Is
they're
that going to
not-
affect
if
whether
they're-
they take your plasma or
If
not?
they're not positive, they will use the antibody. If you're positive, though, they can't, because if you were to pass your plasma to someone else that were HIV, you could get another strand,
Okay.
and then you may have a resistance to that strand.
Okay.
So, okay, yeah, so that was a good question. If the individual is HIV positive and has a strand, to give your plasma to another individual that has a different strand, that would not be, what would I say, advisable for that guy or woman.
You may have a resistance.
You know, they might have resistance to it, or they might cross strands. One second, you have another question?
Do you think that people that do not wear masks and do not follow orders should be penalized or put in jail? That's an interesting question.
That is an interesting question, you know, that's on them, but
Yeah.
then.
I look at it this way. If they knowingly are out there willing to pass to you the COVID, I think there should be some type of penalty for that. Whether it's being thrown in jail, whether it's giving them a fine. I think if someone is knowingly passing a virus on to you that they know could possibly kill you,
But see, I'm so iffy on that, because back in the 80s, they would have loved to have done that to any of us that were HIV positive if we had passed it on and tried to do something to us. So it's kind of a
well, you know,
it's a hard choice.
But there's a difference between back in the 80s and now. I mean, these people are told not to. And back in the 80s, it was totally different, because you weren't being that guy like, okay, well, I am HIV positive, I'm going to go there and just give it to them, you know?
And
It just
actually-
happened
and actually in the 80s
people now are doing it because they don't care.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, this is fake. This is just another way for the government to control us instead of the chip. Blah blah blah. You know, there's a lot of people affected, and there's a lot of people that should not be affected, and we have to take care of them. You know, the people that are talking trash, saying, "Hey, this is not real," it's because it hasn't affected their family yet. But it affected their mother, it affected their son, their daughter, their wife. Would they be saying the same thing?
Yeah.
If this is fake?
maybe not.
When you're actually having to bury, you know, a family member. Oh wait, you can't even bury that family member because
There's a backup.
they're just throwing the bag and putting it in a funeral home
Yeah.
until there's time to do it. So again, if you choose not to wear a mask, that's on you. But if and when you get sick, and I really hope you don't get sick, but if you happen to get sick, that's on you
Yeah.
because you were forewarned. From
Well, the
mayor,
only thing about
from the
not
judge.
wearing the mask is they can pass it on to somebody else.
Right.
And back in the 80s, actually, if you knowingly passed on your HIV to somebody, they could charge you with a crime. They could charge you with attempted murder. And I don't think that's necessary for someone with the COVID. I still think a fine would probably be suitable. But I think some people just need to pull their heads out of their rears and open their eyes. This is something that can kill you. I don't care if it's one person or 100,000 people. One person dying is sad enough. The fact that ignoring it has, in this country, resulted to almost 160,000 or maybe even over is ridiculous. That's bullshit. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. You know what I like to say? All I know is it is getting ridiculous. You know, it's something just to protect yourself. Again, you know, everybody's crying about, oh, our kids need to go back to school, blah blah blah. But then you're not really doing anything to prevent this. You know, you're more worried about your kids going to school, so you won't have to take care of, so you won't have to teach them.
And a good example of this not being a good idea going back to school. I mean, there are schools that started last week, and already they're seeing in those school-age children cases of COVID climbing.
Yeah, exactly. As a matter of fact, I think Georgia, they just started school on the first day of school.
10.
There were 10 already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I posted it a couple of days ago. There were 10 kids in one day at, you know, I don't know if it was in Atlanta, but I just know it was in Georgia, that was already had COVID. So again, this is getting ridiculous. We just have to be careful. I know we all miss our friends, we all miss this. We just have to be careful. And I was going to go somewhere else with this, and I just forgot because I think you brought something else up. But again, the question was about plasma. Now, if anybody finds anything different, then please send us a link, send us a question,
post it on
and post it so we know the information, so we can give you more information as far as plasma. But as far as we know to date,
This is the information we have.
if you are living positive, you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot donate plasma. But the individuals that are not positive, hey, donate all you want. Do it out of the kindness of your heart. Don't do it because you want to go make $25, $40 at the local plasma center. Go help out the individual. I think somewhere around Corpus or something, they're asking people to do it numerous of times. But also understand, if you want to donate plasma as much as you want to, you cannot go every day. You have to give yourself, I think it's a 24 or 12-hour window before you donate plasma.
I think they recommend at least 2 to 3 days. Before
I think it's like 2 days. Because I remember when I used to donate plasma at one of the centers, I'd go on Mondays and I couldn't go back to Wednesday. And if I missed a day between that, I have to change my days all over the next week, and it would have to be like a Tuesday and Thursday, because there has to be a window before with all that.
Okay.
Sorry, I just want to know Jane Fonda over there. So again, let's all be careful. Let's try to help each other. If you see the individual that's around there coughing, walk away. And if you see that person not caring, in a better word, I'm not telling you to go be that snitch. Matter of fact, I was that snitch. Because I went to Walmart, and I was there shopping, and I see these 3 little Karen girls. These 3 little girls, young little white girls, I'm just going to say white, because they were, just walking around Walmart with no mask. So I pretty much went and told one of the workers there, was like, yo, what's up? Why is it I'm wearing my mask and these 3 little teeny boppers are not? So she went over there and told them, and they put on their mask. So let's all be careful. And 1 second. Is that another question?
Well, it says, if you want to donate blood and you are H positive, you are in the database from the health department and you're banned from not giving plasma or blood. So.
Exactly. That's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
When I flagged. But thank you.
You can't be an organ donor. But no,
You're right. You can be an organ donor, but you cannot donate plasma. Again, if you try to go donate plasma at any of the plasma centers, you're red flagged.
Here's something that also is, the antibodies, I guess from COVID, don't stay in your system very long. That's probably the reason why you hear about reinfection from the COVID-19.
Okay, so our next speaker is Mr. Leo. Leo! All right, thank you everybody. Y'all have a good day.
All right.
All right, so I did have a few things that I wanted to talk about, but we are running out of time, so I will save those for next week. On behalf of the board of Living Positive San Antonio, I do want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope that everything that we said today was very informative. I really appreciate the questions that you guys brought in. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to continuously message us so that way we can answer them as quickly as possible. We will be back next week at the same time, at the same place, to do another meeting, and at that meeting we will have a special guest. well, not a special guest, but a special message from the president of Living Positive San Antonio's board. So, thank you again
Who's
for
that?
coming out tonight, and we will see you all next week.